Hi, everyone. I'm Eric Lowe, the Industry Partner Program Manager here at ASID. We are delighted to have you all with us for today's Partner Spotlight webinar, presented by Submaterial. The Partner Spotlight webinar series is an ongoing initiative by ASID, designed to provide you with the opportunity to interact with ASID industry partners, manufacturers, and industry experts in a virtual environment. After the presentation, we'll have a Q&A session where you can submit your questions in the control panel and I'll read them out aloud. Today, we're thrilled to welcome three distinguished presenters. First, we have Bridget Harmon, Marketing Manager at Submaterial. We'll also be joined by Owen Schwab, a talented designer and artist at Submaterial. And last but certainly not least, Stephanie Hollingsworth, a New Mexico licensed interior designer who is NCIDQ certified. Stephanie has also served on the ASID National Board of Directors and is a fellow of ASID. We hope you find this session both informative and engaging. Now, I'll hand it over to Bridget to introduce herself and kick off the presentation.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bridget Harmon. I am the marketing manager at Submaterial, and I'm thrilled to be giving you a bit of an introduction to Submaterial's history and some of our values that have started very early on and continue on today. I'm going to turn my video off so that you can hear me but not see me and get started with the presentation. Alrighty. So, Submaterial. Submaterial was started in 2006 in Seattle, Washington by our founder, David Hamlin. David Hamlin was a maker and a tinkerer, an artist and a business owner and an entrepreneur. And he had created Submaterial sort of at the tail end of another business that he had started a little bit earlier. Submaterial was really created in the service of architects and interior designers in the Seattle area. He focused really on modularity, and his interest was in creating pieces that could be used by a variety of practitioners in commercial settings or residential settings, but they were able to kind of adjust it to how they needed it and how they wanted it. So modularity is something that you're going to hear about a lot when Owen starts to speak as well. You can see that some of the early materials are wool felt. He worked with recycled materials, found materials, and that was a really important part. And we'll get to that a little bit more as well. So Submaterial started 2006, and then there was a transition period around 2011. And at that time, David was working in just outside of Denver, where he had grown up, and he got a call from Gensler, and they were interested in having him work on on a project for KCET in Los Angeles, the television station. And so actually you can see in this top picture here that that was his 200 square foot cottage, and that's all felt. So he worked on that project. It got a lot of attention. It was featured in Interior Design Magazine. And I think it really solidified for him that the products that he was making and the mechanisms that he was using to create these products were something that the field was interested in. Following that transitional period, he actually ended up in New Mexico, that's where we are today. Again, it started off kind of small. This bottom picture is he and one person working in a garage. They moved into a larger space. Then they moved into Albuquerque and started using a series of studios that are actually just around the corner from where we are now. And it kept growing. At that point, it was getting to the situation where they really needed to move into a larger space. During the early years in New Mexico, Submaterial had created a relationship with Felt, which we'll talk about a bit later, because that might be one of the ways in which you know some of our designs already. And at that point, the growth was happening in a kind of not aggressive way, but in a quick way. More people were being added, more products were being added, more production was being added. So in 2019, we moved into the space that we're in right now, which is a 35,000 square foot studio space. It had previously been a Montessori school. This is our team as of today. It's about 25 people. This space is sun-drenched. It has tall ceilings. It really is a perfect space for all of the types of work we're doing, whether it be office work, This picture here on the right is our design studio. It really allows us to have the kind of creative flexibility that we're looking for. This space here in the middle is our beautiful felt archive. It's everyone's favorite room. It's in the middle of the building. It's very quiet. It's a great place to kind of relax and put your thoughts back together. As anyone who's spent time in a room with wool felt knows that it's a great sound dampener. So I wanted to talk a little bit about materials. So obviously David started off with recycled materials, found materials, wool felt, and these are things that we continue to use and we've also grown. So the wool felt that we use is 100% merino wool felt. There are more than 95 colors, which really adds to the kind of variation that we are able to create. We work using a vegetable tanned leather. That's this one here. We use cork, which we really love because it's actually carbon neutral. It can come in natural colors, in smoked cork. It can come with different colored binders. We use powder coated metal, and we use wood, both wood veneer and solid wood. So moving on, um, these are our favorite little guys. But so material is a huge part of our sustainability, but it's not the only part. Obviously, the wool felt, you can see our little cute sheep here, the cork, which given its harvesting actually ends up being carbon neutral, even though it's being shipped from Portugal to the US. We're really excited. This picture here up on the upper left, we are starting to work in a cactus leather that is created in Mexico in a super low impact way. And so the materiality is really important to us, but that's not where our sustainability ends. We keep scraps of everything. I promise we're not hoarders, but we do keep scraps. You can see the cork scraps, which we ship back at a cost to the place where we buy them so that they can be reused. We save a lot of our little bits so that we can give them to our community for people who are doing art projects, filling dog beds, um, keeping their worm composting situations warm for the winter. We also have an extremely extensive archive system. So we're saving all of the felt that we think we might use. It's all being labeled, it's visual, so that we're really creating no waste. We're working in a really lean way to make sure that we are being as thoughtful about not only the materials, but the process and also what happens to the materials after the process. Um, the next thing that is our big focus, and has been since the beginning, is handmade fabrication. David has always believed that the touch of the human hand, the skill of a experienced artisan, really changes a product. You can really feel it, and it's true. When you are in a room with our materials that are designs that have been created with folks skill, putting every little piece in, it really does change the feeling of it. That's kind of where the name Submaterial came from. Um, that is not to say we don't use machines and other things when they are required or needed. The way we think about machinery within our handmade fabrication is that we are really thinking about the bodies of the people who are making this. If cutting strips, thousands of strips at a time, is going to not bring anything new and substantive to the design, but will save the body of the fabricator so that they can continue to do more detailed work, so that they can continue to be healthy. That is something that we think about a lot when it comes to machinery. I will show you a couple more shots here of our space. You can really see the different areas and the sunlight that comes in. Um, as you can see on the top right, that is Mermaid, one of our studio dogs. And then Santi in the middle picture. People bring their dogs and cats to work. It really creates a really unique and different um, place to work here, especially in New Mexico. Um, so the last thing I wanted to talk about before we show a video that we had made last year that was just a real overview of the space. So this is part of our collection with Build Felt. Since we've been working with them for over a decade, we have about 24 plus designs. This might be something that you recognize Every year, we make on average about 150,000 square feet of commercial wall covering, and that includes on edge products. It includes flat products like here. It's an amazing relationship that we have with them. It allows us to be really creative, both in the commercial sense and in the more residential or smaller scale projects and products that we're going to talk about in a minute. But for now, I'm going to move forward into a video. It'll last about 2 minutes, and then I'll come back on and introduce Owen. Alrighty, thank you so much. I'd love to introduce my colleague, Owen Schwab.
Hi, everybody. I'm Owen. I'm one of the designers here. I just want to say I love that video so much, and it like really highlights just how like special and detailed everything we do here is. And I'm always really proud of us after we see that. But quickly, I'll kind of go through our product offering and what we have here at Submaterial. So, like Bridget mentioned, we started with felt, and from our commercial collection with Phil's Felt, we purviewed into this residential area, making custom one-of-a-kind wall art pieces. One of our main and kind of most popular products is right there in the center. It's called Dyad. That lovely yellow panel with the repeating shapes was kind of inspired by the breeze block architecture found, in the mid-mod modernist design canon. And then up in the top left corner, that's Myth, also one of our early products that David, our founder, created. Um, and I think these products started as a way for us to use a lot of that archived felt inventory that we have from our larger products, and start to use them in a way that fits inside of a home or a smaller space. One thing that's really evident in the dyad there, sorry, one back, is our modularity. So each one of those square modules is our module. So you can order things from 8 by 8 inches, or in this case, up to several feet in height and length. In our habitat collection on the next screen, um, this is where we took our submaterial design language and started to apply it to products that could be ordered and specified at scale. So these products still use our same modular language, our same materiality, but are able to be ordered in volume for projects like retail, hospitality, places that need multiple pieces to be specified throughout them. On the next page, we have our mirror collection. So we started with our Wander mirrors. These are our felt edged mirrors, like this green one, red one, and the gray ones in the top corner. And those use our favorite material, felt, right? And this undulating up and down surface to create a really beautiful but really functional mirror. Myself and Damian, the other designer, we wanted to explore mirror as a material and like a little bit less utilitarian or practical. So we created these series of the pivot mirrors, Q mirrors, and the strata mirror, which start to use the mirror and the powder coated metal as the material for these really textured pieces, but keeping the same kind of submaterial design language throughout them. In addition to mirrors, we have our screen collection. These are great for room dividers. We started with our basis, or excuse me, our Divi collection, which is the kind of the images on the left side of the screen of that screen specifically is called basis. And those are either cork or felt tiles joined together by jump rings and suspended from the ceiling. I think our showstopper screen right now is right there in the center is the Century screen. This is made from veneered cork tiles that are strung together and are able to be rotated to kind of change the opacity or the feel of the screen. Something I really, really love about the Century screen is the way that the highlights and the shadows catch the light based on the rotations of the pieces. So that one's really fun in a nice dynamically lit space. And then this photo in the bottom right corner shows one of our Divi screens in a custom rolling frame. So we had a designer reach out to us that was really interested in using our Divi screens, but wanted a solution to be able to move them freely around a space. So we designed and built this custom rolling screen that I believe now is a part of a synagogue in Colorado. We also have our wood wall covering. So we introduced this product line about 4 to 5 years ago with this design here on the left side of the screen called Gradient. So we kind of took our design language that's really common in our Filsfelt collection and in our residential collection and translated it into this new material for us, not the world, but for us, wood. This is using wood veneered tiles with cork inlays. So we're using that juxtaposition of materials to kind of highlight our line work and our design language. There's also options of this of both tile-based products as well as panel-based products. And this is a product that we actually have on Material Bank. So if you're interested in this, you can always request samples through Material Bank, and we'll reach out to you from there and get something exciting going. In addition to the wood wall covering, we also introduced this year a cork wall covering. So Bridget mentioned how much we love cork. It is just such a unique and cool material, especially in the way that it's harvested and how sustainable it is. And then we're lucky to be able to get it in so many different textures, sizes, and colors. We released this product this year in a way to expand our wall covering collection and as well as give like a functional, beautiful wall covering solution. So this is both acoustically backed, so it can help with that, and it's also a workable surface. So cork is naturally healing, so we can pin stuff to it. Great for offices, libraries, studies, and stuff like that. We are also introducing a new product right now we're currently wrapping up development on it. We were just working on this yesterday, and we're really excited to show it at ICFF coming up in May. This is our cactus leather wall covering called Echo. So we found the other designer and myself were really excited to find this cactus wall covering. It's made from the leaves of the nopal cactus and turned into this really beautiful synthetic leather. And we're going and kind of creating these really tight creases into the material that produces really beautiful highlights and little shadows, again, in our kind of same submaterial design language, but in this new, really fun material. Aside from or not kind of after the overview of what we have, this is kind of how our process of ordering works. So on the left side of the screen, this is our spec sheet for that dyad product I was mentioning earlier. And on the right side, we can see 4 completely different configurations of this product. So what the modularity allows us to do is really specify what you want out of the piece. So with our 93 colors, our module size, we can do an entire wall in a really saturated red, kind of monochromatic thing, kind of in that bottom right corner. Or next to it, I went crazy with the layout of these colors, and it's a very custom, really energetic color layout inside of that piece. So a great place to start if you're interested in any of our products is peeking at these spec sheets and seeing, okay, kind of what's possible in my space, what size can I get close to, and then reach out to us, and we're happy to kind of walk you through the entire process. And we'll hear a little bit about that from Stephanie in just a moment here. Aside from just customizing our pieces, which is kind of how we work, everything's custom, we also really, really love to do custom projects. When we were preparing for this meeting, Stephanie said a line that we really love a design challenge. And I know, especially for myself and everybody involved in design and production, these are like the really, really fun ones. So on the right side of the screen, we have a custom wall covering for the Westin Hotel in, I believe, New Orleans. But we didn't have a product like this. The designer came to us and said, I have this vision for a really textured, really swirly accent wall. And we worked with them to produce samples, timeline, budget, and we ultimately went and installed this for them there as well. Another highlight of our custom projects is in the bottom left corner was a custom wall for PBS. Again, we were able to take the design intention both from PBS and their designer and translate it into this really beautiful one-of-a-kind felt wall covering specifically for them. That's kind of like a main overview of everything, or a lot of what we offer here. We have honestly so many more products that we could spend an hour just talking about what we have. But that's kind of a lot of what we can do. And that leads us, all of the custom talk leads us to Stephanie, owner and designer at Pear Collective, and she'll tell us a little bit about how we work together.
Hi, everyone. I am pleased to be able to be part of this today. I am sitting in my studio in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and as you can see behind me, I have a myth panel that was that I worked with the owner on and was bequeathed to me. So it's very special to me, and I love that it's my backdrop. So I do commercial, residential, and hospitality interior design based out of Santa Fe, but all over the place. And I feel like having Submaterial in my backyard, they're an hour away. We've been able to foster and develop this wonderful working relationship, and I've just come to really value them as part of my team as a go-to resource. I find them to be extremely collaborative, extremely communicative, extremely responsive. And as Owen said, they love a good design challenge, which we'll get to in the next slide. So I have used Submaterial in a number of different ways. This project was a commercial office lobby project, and the design incorporated one of the Submaterial designs as the ceiling treatment to give a sense of space and to add a sense of warmth and graphic quality. But also you can see there are a lot of hard materials in this lobby and a lot of people coming and going and elevators. And so the properties that the felt brings, I find to be, number one, very, very artistically interesting, but the acoustic property is unmatched. And when you get all the combination of all of those elements, I think that's why it becomes a go-to for me again and again. Next, please. And so when you say design challenge, I approached Submaterial several years ago because I also work in product design, and I was looking to create something modular, again, speaking to their special focus on modularity. And we wanted to create a furniture unit that would be able to offer in small spaces a myriad of storage options that was also beautiful and it could be customized and be very bespoke. And we used a combination of the materials that they really celebrate and use all the time. We used cork, the felt, the wood, the powder coated metal. And we also brought to the table 3form and resin, which was a material new to them, but they said, hey, sure, we're open to experimenting. And so we worked through an elaborate design process over the course of, I think, probably a year. And with just, this wonderful design team and design minds. And it was really kind of an engineering construction challenge. And in the end, we have not gotten it to a place where we would have taken it to market yet. But it was a wonderful experiment of the collaboration and of their team really digging in and rolling up their sleeves and getting excited about a new challenge and something that they don't do every day. Okay, next. And so the other way that I have used them often is, as they've both alluded to, their specialty in doing these wall elements and modules. And now that they're offering mirror, and especially this particular series that you see, the round mirrors that I've implemented in between sections of myth panels. It offers just another way to get in more materiality. And so in this case, it's wood, and they have a number of different wood stains, and then the felt that is lining the mirror and also lining the perimeter. And so it just offers a lot of potential for creativity. The cradle, which you can't really see, well, you can see actually in the detail. The metal cradle is what holds in all of the felt, and that there are a lot of options for the powder coating color. So it's another way to add in a creative element with the color or finish. This particular piece is in Angel Fire Resort, which is a ski resort in New Mexico. This was a locker room that we needed something colorful, something that was vivid. But I also, again, it's just a wonderful byproduct that the felt brings some acoustic management. This is a place that's sort of cold and hard and loud. And so time and time again, I go to the Submaterial decorative and artful panels to bring art to the table, to bring color, to bring that graphic quality, but also to offer that warmth and softness that the material brings to the table. And when you think about all of the possibilities of mixing all of these materials that they offer, it makes it, it's a pretty clear argument for why this is a go-to, certainly for me, and I know other designers again and again. I use it in my commercial spaces. I've used it in the hospitality spaces. I've used it a number of times in residential spaces. So, it really does span all of the range in design.
I really appreciate the kind words about working together. We enjoyed it as well, and on that Expanse project, it was fun to allow everybody to really stretch their mind on how we could do that. And I think something that's kind of a fun part about this project for Angel Fire, we had to make some tiny little tweaks to our standard offering, but that's again what we really love to do, and we were able to do this really fun custom configuration of both the Juxt mirror and the Myth, which I think is one of Stephanie's favorites. She might agree.
Yes, and just real quickly, I'd like to touch on the process. Now, you may have other questions about that, but again, having it in my backyard, I can go down there and just comb through the felt drawers, which is an amazing experience. But certainly I've worked with just using the folder that I keep handy in my library to reference the colors. And once I identify the colors, and kind of give it to them, I let them do their thing and just have artistic freedom. And so they, most often will come back with something that I feel the need to tweak very little. It's maybe add a little more gold towards this end, or a little more blue this end, a little more mix of the color, a little less of the white or neutral. But they will send it to you. You give them responses. They are very good about the feedback and about turning it around, interpreting what you're saying, and regenerating a new design until you're happy with it. And the process is quick and nimble. You don't have to chase them. You don't have to, it doesn't cause big delays. They take a lot of care with their service and timeliness.
Yeah, we're very proud to do that, and I think part of everything being so custom and modular, and I think that's my favorite part of working with people, is being able to take those little notes, take the little critiques, and give exactly what you want. And then what we also do is, especially for this product specifically, we'll send progress photos. We'll double check that the layout looks good before we glue everything up, and we really make sure that everybody's involved the entire step of the process. I've enjoyed getting to know all different designers from all over the US and having meetings with them to discuss their projects. So we're always happy to work with people, and always really happy to work with Stephanie.
Thank you.
Perfect. So here is how to contact Submaterial. We'll now proceed to the Q&A session. If you have any questions for Bridget, Owen, or Stephanie, please kindly utilize the Q&A button in the platform's control panel. All right, now first one, how does shipping work for large pieces? And if you all want to come on camera, please feel free.
Yeah, I can speak a little bit. So it really depends. Some of our the felt panels and things that the material's a little bit more flexible and forgiving, we'll just ship those in a cardboard box directly to you or your customer. But we do have a couple pieces that require a crate. So, for example, we did a very large pivot mirror last year that we ended up crating and shipping. And some of the mirrors will also require a crate, but generally we just get your address, get a good quote going, and get it right to you. Yeah.
Great, thanks, Owen. How are the tiles installed? Standoffs to improve acoustic value or direct glue?
So both, kind of whatever works best for you. So our in our commercial products, kind of what Bridget mentioned with Felt, we do have both tile-based that are direct glue, as well as large acoustic panels that use Z-clips to create about a quarter-inch air gap. So in those products, we have air gap, acoustic panel, and felt to kind of really do the magic. But in our residential collection, a lot of the panels utilize either a French cleat or a Z-bar system, and our mirrors use keyhole brackets, and some of our screens have some custom sealing hardware that's used to mount them. In general, I really try to pride myself on creating products that are easy to install, and I think a lot of the designers here carry that ethos. So
Wonderful, thanks again.
Yeah.
Can I bring my own design for a project and you figure out how to fabricate it for me?
Absolutely. That is my favorite thing to do. I obviously love doing my own designs, but I truly, really enjoy helping people bring their vision to life. And I especially enjoy kind of the figuring out the how of it all, right? So let's take your graphic vision or your design vision and bring it to life in the materials that we understand or the ones that we can start to understand.
Yeah. And I would add to that what I always sort of say when I'm telling people about Submaterial is that generally speaking, people don't graduate art school or any school like knowing how to be an expert in like felt wall art. Or like cork or mirrors, it's not necessarily what happens, but we have this is a really great place to work. I'm not sure if you can get it, but it's a really great place to work. And we have a ton of people who've stayed here a really long time, and they have become deep experts. So in addition to Damian and Owen, as designers, we have a production manager, an assistant production manager, and fabricators who know the materials that we're using so well that they are really such an extra help when creating these kinds of custom things. And each bring often their own, a lot of people have a background in woodworking, some people have a background in metalwork. And so it's like kind of it's a holistic thing when projects are being kind of tooled out, made jigs for, like, there's like everyone here has something to add, and that for that reason I think it makes the projects that much better.
Great, thanks, Bridget. Next one here. Are there any metallic finishes possible in any of the materials?
There we go. It worked. As far as the natural materials, not necessarily. The felts, the wood, the cork, all kind of are their natural finish. But we do really embrace powder coated aluminum. So we have a couple designs like the stratum mirror or the pivot mirror that really embrace like the powder coated metal finish. We will sometimes do an anodized cradle for our myth panels. But generally, those are the only metallic finishes. Unless, Bridget, can you think of any other ones? Yeah.
All right. This sounds like it may be a question for Stephanie. I know she touched on this. Can you collaborate with me on a design project that is custom?
Yes, absolutely. I have done that a number of times. You get something to give them. I think Owen was just speaking to this a little bit. Some sort of a fragment of a design, maybe a takeoff using as a first point of reference something that they've done, but that one of their designs, but that you want to tweak, whether it's tweaking with color, with scale, with dimension, material application. I love the idea of working with leather and cork and felt, and this is the application. This is the scale. Let's brainstorm and see, what shape that might take. Again, that is one of the biggest assets that they bring to the table is that love for that, kind of energetic brainstorming and creative process that they are very not only open to, but very receptive to and love. So I would just say always bring something to them because the sky sort of seems to be the limit within the material offerings that they have to utilize.
Thanks, Stephanie. And we have multiple questions wondering about acoustics, wanting to know if you can speak more to the acoustic properties of Submaterial's products.
I'm not an engineer and I haven't done any data collection or testing of before and after. But I think doing some Submaterial may have some data that they could offer on that. But I can tell you, for instance, in a commercial office lobby, the sound that was present in the space before adding the acoustic element, the difference was palpable. And so again, I don't have hard data on that, but I can say that the absorption of the sound is significant.
Thanks, Stephanie. Bridget, Owen, do you want to add to that?
Yeah. So our acoustic collection, it's actually called our AK acoustic collection with Phil's felt, which are our larger panels made from an acoustic backing material and with that air gap. Those are our most acoustically significant products, and they're designed to be that way and designed to really fill those lobby walls and really make an impact acoustically. On our spec sheets, we do have our component testing for those products. The other products do have those same inherent acoustic values and use these materials that mitigate acoustic kind of chatter. But in some of the smaller residential panels, there might be slightly less of an impact compared to the large wall, full wall installations. But everything,
Wonderful. Go ahead.
the material itself is really kind of naturally acoustically sound dampening. So it's a good reason to order more,
Thank you. This is an interesting one because I know it's going to vary project by project, but this attendee is asking, on average, how long does it take from design concept to completion?
So yeah, that again varies. I think in general we have an 8 to 10 week lead time from receipt of deposit. So what that means is once our design process can go as long as we want it to, right? I'm happy to keep iterating, keep changing, but at the time that we say this is what we're building and you give us that 50% deposit, we typically have an 8 to 10 week lead time, unless there's some sort of major material constraint, some reason that we're unable to source your specific material, but in general, 8 to 10 weeks. And we do also, aside from that, and on less custom things, I'll say, we have a pretty well stocked, ready to ship section of our website. So we do have things that are available to ship out, this afternoon.
All right, thank you. And then we have multiple questions just wanting to know how do we maintain the product, whether it's cleaning or whether we need to vacuum it. What would you recommend?
Yeah, so we always send out some detailed care instructions with everything we do, and it really depends on the combination of materials that are used in that piece. So on our all felt products, I think we recommend like vacuuming with like a soft bristle attachment to get some of that dirt that's inside of there, as well as a lint roller is really the best friend for our felt wall products. Even the full scale walls. And you might have seen in the video, I think we were using a lint roller on one of our panels just because felt is kind of dusty in the end, and it'll actually create some of its own dust. But lint roller and vacuum, and if needed, I think you can really lightly clean with an extremely mild detergent and some warm water. For some of the woods and the mirrors and stuff, just kind of standard cleaning products usually do the trick.
Perfect. We have time for a few more. This attendee is wondering regarding the hanging wall separation panels, can you describe the method for hanging? Do they mount to the ceiling and floor?
They can, but in general, usually the system is called Z clips, and that's a kind of a brand name that has a lot of documentation. But it's essentially a cleat comes off the wall and a cleat comes off the panel, and they
Sorry, I
slip.
think. Sorry, Owen. I think they're talking about the screens. Is Eric? Can you confirm?
Yeah, so question here is hanging wall separation panels is what is mentioned.
So I think they might mean the divvy screens.
Yeah. So for the divvy screens, we have a couple. They are hung from the ceiling typically. We can also hang them from the wall. Yes, in general, right? We can do anything, but we have one hardware package where there's a powder coated bar at the top that kind of hooks on to two hooks hanging from the ceiling. So if you're in that instance, if the screen is going all the way up to the ceiling, that's the solution. We also have a cable mounted version. So if you're in a very high space and we just need the screen to be, or the room divider to be kind of down at our level, we can utilize aircraft cable hangers to do that as well. And then we are also able to hang those screens as kind of a wall panel, using those same kind of hooks just mounted to the wall.
All right, terrific. And Rebecca, we'll follow up with you after this webinar just to get some more clarification for you. All right, let's see. Next one here. Are there any favorite materials or design for fireplace walls?
So we actually, I don't know who's in control, but if we go back a couple to our custom page, one more forward, that is actually a custom fireplace wrap we did out of, I think we call this design Holt, but it's again our kind of textured squares made from wood. So that's a really, really custom one. I would think maybe some of our more rigid materials like the powder coated stuff, the wood and the glass might do a little bit better around the heat. But we are also able to order fire rated and fire treated felt. So it kind of, I hate to say it depends, but it kind of worlds the oyster,
All righty, next one here. Are there any materials that you will not work with?
Great question. Thank you for asking that. We will, in general, not work with plastic. So Stephanie mentioned, we kind of dipped our toe into 3form and these recycled resins that are really interesting kind of plastic products. But in general, we don't do stuff with like acrylic, polycarbonate, any sort of non-long-term material. We are, renewable or have a really long life to it.
All right, and last one here. Do you provide samples directly, or do I need to source samples from Material Bank?
We do. We're happy to talk directly and source samples to you. A lot of what we have on Material Bank is our brochure that kind of goes over a lot of our products that has a smaller material section in it, as well as our cork and wood wall covering options. But if you're interested in like a specific color of felt, a specific piece of cork, you can reach out directly to us and we're always happy to send samples. I also believe that we recently launched a part of our website where you can actually order felt samples directly. So if you're not ready to talk to me and you just want to see the felt colors and like decide if you're into the felt or not, you can go right to submaterial.com and request felt swatches directly from us there.
All right. On behalf of ASID, I'd like to extend a big thank you to Submaterial. We also extend our thanks to all of you who joined us today. We hope to see you again at our next ASID Brand Spotlight webinar. Thank you.